What's going on, Vault Dwellers? It's Top Ranking Noob, and I'm back at it again with another helpful video for Fallout 76. And hey, if you guys want to check out some really cool Fallout 76 gear, make sure you head on over to U4GM. I'm going to be putting a link down in the description, along with the coupon code that's going to be saving you 5%. Now today what I'm going to be showing you how to do is crafting Ultracite ammo. Now, crafting the ammo is pretty straightforward, but one of the main ingredients is stable flux, and that gets quite a bit more complicated. So I'm going to be taking you step by step through the process of how to collect all the key ingredients and craft that ammo. So if you guys find this video helpful, make sure you smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you hit that bell, you'll be the first to be notified anytime I got new uploads. And with that being said, let's get started. Crafting Ultracite ammo is like crafting a lot of other items in this game, in that you're going to need to learn how to craft it first and foremost. In order to learn how to craft the ammo, you're going to need a prime receiver plan. These prime receiver plans can be picked up by defeating the Scorch Beast Queen. Once you learn the plan, you're also going to learn to craft the ammo that goes along with that particular receiver. Once you've learned how to craft the ammo, or once you've learned the receiver plan for that prime weapon, you're ready to rock and roll. So if we come up to any tinker bench, and I hope by now you realize that tinker benches are going to be what you need in order to craft ammo. Once you learn that plan, there's going to be a new section there that says Ultracite ammo. If you go there, you're going to be able to see all the equipment, or all the materials that you're going to need in order to craft Ultracite ammo. Most of the materials are pretty straightforward. We got gunpowder, we got lead, we got steel, and we got ultracite, which is a little more difficult to find than those other items, but we'll get to that point. But the most complicated part, the most complicated material that you're going to need is the pure flux. I'm going to be trying to craft some 5mm rounds for my Gatling gun, and that's going to require some violet flux, pure violet flux. Now, in order to craft the flux, that's where things get fun. Let's head on over to our chemistry workbench and take a look at what we need in order to craft that flux. So, in order to craft flux, all of the items that we're going to need are going to be found in blast zones. So we have to go into a nuked zone in order to find these items. Most of them are probably items that you've seen before in the past. We need glowing mass, we need hardened mass, high radiation fluid, and of course we need raw flux. Now, just a quick word of warning, because I've been bit by this a couple of times. Your glowing mass, your high radiation fluids, they all go under your aid items, but your hardened mass goes under your junk items. The reason why I point that out is if you die, you drop your junk. And if somebody picks it up, you're basically out all of your hard work. So as you're picking up that hardened mass, make sure you either A, don't die, which sounds great, or B, just make a few trips to the stash box from time to time to drop that hardened mass off. Now, at this point, it probably doesn't surprise you that the best place to farm those three items is right at the White Springs Resorts whenever somebody drops a nuke there. That's because there's plenty of bad guys to kill. So you're going to find them off of these glowing guys. And I point this out because when I was a noob, I'm top ranking noob, I'm always a noob, I was literally just selling these items to the vendors, or just like leaving them on the ground and not picking them up at all. I didn't know what they were for. On that note, even if you're not crafting ultracite armor and you're watching this video, it might be a good idea for you guys to keep a hold of this, because people will buy these items rather than farming them. Naturally, you got to wait for a blast zone to come around. And in a blast zone, if it's a good run in a blast zone, I might pick up maybe 15 glowing or hardened mass items. That's not a lot if you're doing mass crafting. So even if you're a noob not crafting ultracite ammo yet, keep a hold of that glowing mass. Keep a hold of that hardened mass. Keep a hold of that high radiation fluid. Because people who are crafting those will most likely pay for it, to include myself. So that covers 3 out of the 4 ingredients that we talked about. We got the high radiation fluid, the glowing mass, and the hardened mass. But we also need that raw flux. And if you're doing fluorescent raw flux, if I can say that, depending on the kind of ammo you're making for ultracite, This is also a great location for fluorescent raw flux. Now in this footage it doesn't quite work out because whoever dropped the nuke didn't quite drop it where it should have been. Not perfect, but it's okay. But what happened was most of the flowers didn't quite radiate. But if you want to maximize on picking it up, you want to make sure that you have the right perk card. And by right perk card, I mean green thumb. Now this is a perk card that was probably overlooked throughout most of your leveling, but basically it's going to let you harvest twice as much. As you're harvesting these materials, as you're harvesting this raw flux in these nuke zones, you're going to get 1 raw flux per bush that you harvest. But with this, it's going to be 2, so it's going to be twice as fast. It makes things a lot easier, and it's definitely worth the investment if you don't have it already. Now, White Springs is a great place to grind fluorescent flux, but in my case, if you recall when this video started like 6 freaking minutes ago, I need a violet flux. So I'm here at Fissure Point Prime, and this is a great place to buy, I shouldn't say buy, or farm crimson, because you can see these blast berries, which are basically out in the open. They drop crimson flux. And of course, they're going to drop 2 each as long as I got that perk card. With violet flux, though, violet flux is very easy to find here. Basically, there is a fern that grows right around tree bases. So all you have to do is find a tree, and you're going to find these ferns here that drop violet flux. And so again, as long as you've got that perk card and these Irradiroot, if I can pronounce that correctly, also are going to drop violet flux as well. So it's really easy to find. I usually don't mess with the Irradiroot unless I just walk across it. But because, you know, trees are pretty easy to find in this area, I'll just go next to the trees and find those ferns for the violet root. I do plan on doing a video that shows the best locations for each specific flux. But for right now, know that you can get the crimson and the violet here at Fissure Point Prime. And you can also get yellow cake and fluorescent there at White Springs. Crimson, I'm sorry, not crimson, but cobalt is another one, and I'm not really too sure where to find it. I haven't needed it yet, so I haven't really bothered with it, but I'll do a whole video on that. So one more important thing to note is that raw flux actually degrades, and it degrades pretty quickly compared to other items. So once you pick it up, you're going to want to craft it as quickly as possible. I've never timed it, but it seems to be like maybe anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour before any kind of flux turns into what's called inert flux, which is basically just dead weight. You can sell inert flux for about 2 caps a piece to the vendors, but I mean, there's plenty of things to sell to the vendors, so it's not really worth it. So basically, go ahead and farm it. Once you farm it, go and start crafting that stable flux as quickly as possible. Once it's stable, you're good to go, though, although the stable flux does go into your junk items. I'm pretty sure that means if you die, you drop it, and if somebody else rolls around, well, then it's payday for them. So be careful with that. So now we finally got all of our items and we're ready to craft. But before we do, let's take a look at 2 more perk cards. We're going to want to take full advantage of this because you've been watching this video for like 8.5 minutes. It's kind of a pain in the backside in order to craft Ultracite ammo. So the first perk card you're going to want to get is called Ammo Smith. If you have it ranked up to 2, you're going to be able to create 80% more ammo every time you craft. So the second perk card that we're going to want to take a look at is called Super Duper. And what that does is if we have it leveled up to 3, I was about to hold up 4 fingers. Level 3. Whenever we craft anything, we're going to have a 30% chance to have double results. So that's pretty impressive. About 1 out of 3 with that. Nice. Now we're officially ready to craft since we got the right perk cards. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off at our chem station to process all that flux that we got. So you should find a nuked flora option. And in this case, we're going to go to a violet flux. We're going to craft a couple of those so that we can get that 5mm ammo that I need. Now, real quick, as I mentioned, of course, as you craft the stable flux, it's going to end up in your junk category. So once you're done crafting it, if you're not going to use it right out of the gate, make sure you drop it off in your stash box. Otherwise, that's a payday for whoever loots your corpse if you die. So let's go ahead and craft a few more of those, and then we'll go ahead and get some ammo for this 5mm Gatling gun that I got. And in order to do that, of course, we're going to go back to our Tinker Station. And of course, we're going to find that Ultracite ammo category down there at the bottom. And there we go. With all of that, we got the ability to make all kinds of ammo. So I should be set for days. Or maybe a few minutes if I'm really trigger happy, which sometimes I am. So that's it. I mean, after all of that, we have officially made the ammo. You guys can either go and blow it up in the Scorch Beast's face, or if you're really smart, sell it to assholes like me that are too lazy to do that whole process myself. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. We'll see you next time.